Good afternoon everyone and happy Sunday. We are somewhere in June. I'm not sure what day it is actually, but somewhere in June. And I have so much to tell you. I've been up to not a lot per se, but I've got so much to tell you because I've just been enjoying so many things recently. And I've been postponing this video because of the heat wave right now, and because I just had so much to say that I knew that it was going to be a long video, and it was just now or in December of 2025 to do like a year-long review. So let's do it now as I have less to say, even though it's going to be, I can tell, a long video. I'm so sorry. Again, this is a heat wave and we don't have any AC in Europe, in houses usually, so we don't have any AC here. And I've just been dying all day, all weekend pretty much. I went for a run this morning. I'll put timestamps down below, by the way, if you just want to jump to whichever section is of interest to you, you can do that. I know it's mostly the books, so I'll put timestamps down below, and if you want to jump to the book part of this video, please do so. I won't be offended at all. But for those of you who would like a life update, I've had a really good month actually, and mostly work has been really crazy. Again, I work in a school, so the end of the year is madness. We had a graduation ceremony recently as well, and I went for a run this morning and I went for a run yesterday morning in absolute just dying of exhaustion and heat. The walk was just a run. The run was just so hard, and because of the heat, honestly. So this is a good reminder to me, to you, that you absolutely should not compare yourself to anybody, including yourself, in terms of distance and in terms of time when it comes to sports, because we're just all doing our best with the circumstances that we are given. Example, this weekend has been really hot and I went for a run anyway. I went as soon as I got up in the morning just to try and catch some of the air. There was none, but at least I tried. And it was the freshest of the day, it was the coldest of the day, and still it was incredibly hot, and it was my worst time ever because of the heat. I just was exhausted after even 1 kilometer, let alone 5. I wanted to go for 10 yesterday and 10 today. I did 5 yesterday and 5 today. I was just completely exhausted, and so heat makes a huge difference, at least to me, in terms of running, in terms of just breathing. I felt like I was just about to pass out, to be honest with you. And running in the wild as opposed to running on the running track also makes a huge difference to me. There's always a bit of an incline, even in cities. I live in Paris once again, and even in Paris there's always a bit of an incline, even in the street or something. I run in a park, even you can't really feel it. It's not the same as running on a smooth straight running track, so that plays a difference as well. And yeah, you can't really compare your runs at all. Between your runs, you can't really compare them, and you can't compare yourself to anybody else really, because who knows what they're going through, who knows what circumstances, what the context is. They might be, you know, they might be somewhere completely exotic with just wilderness around them, and they might be on the running track, they might be on a treadmill, it might be 10 degrees, it might be 15, it might be 100 today. So yeah, just don't compare yourself. That was my first thing. Next up is what I've been up to recently. I've done a few things. I'm an introvert and I don't go out much really. I just prefer staying at home. I'm a huge homebody, but I went to visit a few things, and I wanted to do a few activities which I don't usually do, so I thought I would talk about that. First off is the Worth exhibition in Paris. It runs until September, and I went all on my own, and it was absolutely phenomenal. I have never seen a more interesting and more beautiful exhibition in my entire life, honestly. So again, it's in Paris and it runs until September, and it's an exhibition about the House of Worth, which was huge. I think one of the main manufacturers of ladies' gowns for, well, they did men as well, but ladies' gowns for about a century or so. So they were huge in the 19th century. They also were here during the 20s, that sort of thing, and then just fell out of favour and closed. But they were huge, 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 and you can see any period drama really. I'm a huge fan of the 19th century, I'm obsessed with it, and I watch a lot of costume dramas, and you can see Worth dresses or Worth influenced dresses in almost all costume dramas set in the 19th century, because they were the biggest manufacturer and creator really of gowns and of outfits in the 19th century. So I went to see this exhibition in Paris. They had a huge amount of gowns over there and outfits as well, and they had portraits and paintings in general, and I think that's mostly it. And what I did, which was absolutely what you should do if you want to visit Paris this summer, for example, and want to see the exhibition, is that I booked the official guided tour. So the museum, the Petit Palais, offers a guided tour, which is only €7 more than the price of the exhibition. So it's a steal, honestly, and it's about, I think, an hour and a half long, and it's a small group of less than 20 people, and you've got a guide who is absolutely phenomenal. She was very shy and introverted, but she did a really good job actually of explaining everything. She just was very shy. You could tell that she wasn't really comfortable, but we had her, and she went through the entire exhibition. We saw a huge amount of gowns. I'm going to showcase them over here, but we saw a huge amount of gowns, and we saw all kinds of gowns as well. We saw wedding dresses, we saw dresses which were used to be presented at court, we saw portraits which for example were painted by artists, and you could see the woman wearing a dress on the, that was painted in the 19th century, and if you turned around you could see the dress being featured behind the glass displays. So it was really unique, and even the guide actually was really impressed. She said she told us that it was the first time in her entire career that she'd been able to talk about a painting and have the dress featured right behind it. The level of conservation that went into preserving those dresses, preserving those paintings was phenomenal. We had access to a lot of gowns, again behind glass displays, but still a lot of gowns, a lot of different gowns, a lot of different outfits, and it was just really, really informative. I learned a lot. The House of Worth was hugely inspirational to many artists, and many artists were actually hugely inspirational to the House of Worth in return. They worked with crafted artisans outside of the House of Worth as well for unique, one-of-a-kind pieces. They employed hundreds of people, and in all sorts of skills and all sorts of talents, and they were just huge really. For example, at some point we were actually looking at a gown, and the guide told us that a beautiful gown, actually I'll feature right here, and the guide told us that it had been worn by Lady Curzon, who was the wife of the Viceroy of India, meaning that she was second only to the Queen in rank in the UK in the 19th century, and that she had worn the gown 3 times, once to see Queen Victoria, once to, and at least twice more, including once to the court of Prussia. So we could see really just very influential outfits which would again featured on the art that we were seeing as well. It was a remarkable exhibition, honestly, and so inspirational. Worth himself, actually, it was a dynasty, so it was him and then his respective sons, but Worth himself started out as a tailor, and then he created his own fashion house, and the shift happened. A guy told us that the shift happened when at some point he had to go to women's houses to fit them for specific dresses, and when he created his house he was so successful that women came to him, and that was the shift actually in his popularity and in his creation and his career. It was honestly just the best exhibition I have ever seen. I gasped. People in my group actually were just turning around to look at me like, what are you doing? Because I kept gasping every time we entered a new room, and kept seeing all these absolutely gorgeous outfits which I never thought we could see in real life really, and it was just not expensive at all, and just honestly just, again, a steal. I highly recommend this exhibition. It was wonderful. At the end of it, they actually showed a clip of the Gilded Age, which is one of my favourite shows ever. And I do want to talk about that this soon, but season 3 is actually coming next week. It's starting next week, so I'm so excited. But they showed the clip of the event that happens at the end of season 1. I won't spoil anybody. Of the event that happens at the end of season 1 at the end of the show, because of course the Gilded Age features a lot of gowns which were actually inspired by the House of Worth, or just straight up lifted from the House of Worth, actually gowns which were Worth gowns, just duplicated for the show. And yeah, this has just sent me into a lovely rabbit hole. I discovered a blog called, I think, Fashion Flicks, which focuses on fashion in costume dramas. I had never heard of it, and because of this exhibition, actually, because of just diving properly into the fashion, into the making of these gowns, we saw fabric samples, for example, we saw sketches as well. It was just a beautiful exhibition. Very it showed just all aspects of creating outfits and what it meant for the people, the amount of work, that sort of thing. But anyway, so I just went into a deep dive into the internet and tried to find some more information, and that's how I happened upon Frog Flicks, I think it was the name of the blog or something, but I just link it down below if you are interested. It was absolutely wonderful. Number 2, I went to another exhibition which has ended actually in Paris recently, which was called, it was completely free, it was Paris, Capital of the Pearl, Capital of the Pearl, and it showed how Paris actually at some point at the beginning of the 20th century was very much again just a place for the pearl industry to really bloom, and how it happened, where they sourced the pearls, how jewelers became interested in pearls. Cartier had a huge influence on that, and it was absolutely fascinating to see that people like Cartier actually were not just manufacturers of jewellery, but also were interested in sourcing the jewellery properly, in preserving the spaces that were used for making jewellery, and the countries and the areas which where they sourced the gems. And it was a beautiful exhibition. It was completely free, so it wasn't that long. Really, I think I was there for about maybe 30 minutes or so with a friend, but it was very interesting. Again, very interesting. I got the catalogue as well. Anyway, so I went there, and when I left the exhibition, we went through a covered passage. There are, just like London really, there are many covered passages in Paris, and we went through a covered passage and stumbled across a craft shop, specifically a cross-stitch shop. I had never done cross-stitch before, but we were just so inspired coming in. There were just displays of cross-stitch, there were cross-stitched kits that you could buy, and there were cross-stitch projects, finished projects being displayed in frames and things. It was very inspirational. The lady there was a crafter as well. She was lovely, and so out of the blue I promised my friend that I would make her a cross-stitch thing, and little did I know, it's very much a talent, it's very much a craft, and I really am not very good at it. It's going to take me a long time. We're going to see each other, I think, around Christmas time again. I usually see her around once a year or so, but we just miss each other so much that we just want to see each other a bit more this year. But anyway, so I bought a kit actually for a bookmark. This bookmark right here, this is what I'm going to make in cross stitch at some point. So you can see it's called Damask Rose. It's beautiful. So it's a bookmark, and here is my here's what I've made so far. This right here, which is completely wrong, actually. I have to make it again. Yeah, and that took me about 4 hours actually just to understand how to start the project at all. This is the thing that I had to do at some point, just to, because all of the thread was actually tangled and all of the colours were completely tangled together, so I had to separate them. I had to colour code them. It was a huge thing, and I haven't, you know, as you can see, I haven't done anything at all, so it's rather disheartening. But I'm not losing hope of one day being able to cross stitch this bookmark for her, and definitely cross stitch something for me as well. It's actually really hours of work. I have no idea what I'm doing. I had to watch a ton of videos just to make this, and I've done it completely wrong actually. I've used I haven't used the right quantity of thread for my project at all, so I have to do it all over again, but it's okay. It's a project. Definitely. Something else which I've been doing recently actually is cooking. I am a huge foodie. Food is my absolute obsession, has always been, but I'm not a very good cook. I'm a baby cook. I rarely cook. I just assemble really, but I rarely follow recipes and try to be better, try to improve. But I've tried to follow recipes recently, and I've tried to improve. So recipes which have really worked for me recently are, I'm going to link them down below when they are on an English website. Sometimes they're on a French website, so I'm not going to link them down below, but when they are on an English speaking website, definitely will link them down below, because they have worked for me and they were absolutely gorgeous. I made chili con carne recently, which was absolutely gorgeous. I added 2 things to the recipe. It's a BBC recipe. I added 2 things to it. I added a substitution to the sugar, I think, is a chocolate square. I definitely added a dark chocolate square to this recipe. You can't taste it, but it adds a little depth of flavour. And I also added some cinnamon to the recipe as well, again just for depth of flavour. It was really good. And I'm going to try other recipes using fresh chilies, because this time around I just used chili powder. Well, I used cayenne powder, I think. I used cayenne powder for the heat, but next time I'm definitely going to try and source better ingredients, so mostly fresh chili peppers and that sort of thing. I'm not sure that you can actually find that many varieties of chili peppers in France, but I'm going to try and source them to make a better chili even. But this one was really spectacular. So chili con carne, I'm going to link the recipe down below. To go along with it, I made some cornbread. That was my first time making cornbread. The only cornbread I've ever had is from a restaurant here in Paris that specialises in barbecue, and it's one of my favourite things ever, and it's my favourite thing on the menu actually. I love their meat. I would die for their meat, but I would also really die for their cornbread. So I made cornbread. It was absolutely gorgeous. But again, because I haven't had it that many times, I haven't had much of it. I don't know how it would compare to other recipes of cornbread. So next time I'm going to, it was a gorgeous recipe, nothing to add, really nothing to substitute, but I'm going to try another recipe next time just to see how they compare. But yeah, absolutely wonderful. The chili with the cornbread was just absolutely gorgeous. We ate that with some Doritos chips as well. That was just crisps. That was just absolutely amazing, just absolutely wonderful. That was amazing. I also made my favourite banana bread by Sally's Baking Addiction. I'm going to link her recipe down below. I've been making this banana bread for years and years. I definitely add the walnuts, and I definitely add the chocolate chips, and it's just the best banana bread. It's so moist, so spongy, and so full of banana flavour. It's unbeatable. I think it's just the best banana bread I've ever had, and I'm just so happy actually to be able to make it on my own, because I didn't have it any time. I also made a flourless chocolate cake. That was amazing. It's a recipe, bizarre actually, it's a recipe by King Arthur, which is a brand that sells flour. It's a flourless chocolate cake, which I found absolutely hilarious. It's on their blog. I made that, I've been making that for years as well, and I made that recently, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. It's kind of between a chocolate cake and a lava cake, because it's very moist, and it's very just decadent and very chocolatey. I definitely add the espresso, which really gives the chocolate a bit of an edge. Really, it's just, it amps up the chocolate flavour so much. It's gorgeous. I also made yesterday, for example, I made pasta puttanesca. It's a recipe on Gilla's blog called, it used to be called Slut Spaghetti, and she renamed it. I think her marketing manager asked her to rename it Slayton's pasta, which is a bit less impactful but still very good. However, I would make some substitution next time. Actually, I'm going to reheat the sauce just this evening for dinner, and I'm going definitely to, it's more of a paste right now, and I would like it to be more saucy. So I'm going to make, I'm going to boil my pasta and add more cooking water, pasta cooking water, to the sauce tonight to make it a bit more saucy, because it was very good yesterday, but it was definitely, for me at least, not saucy enough. So I made pasta puttanesca yesterday, and I also made crepes for dessert, which are absolutely gorgeous. I always have my crepes with Nutella. I grew up on Nutella. That's my my childhood basically consisted of Nutella, Sailor Moon. So Nutella, Sailor Moon, Nutella, Sailor Moon. What was my childhood? Nutella, Sailor Moon, Goosebumps, and The Babysitter's Club, the movie that came out in 1994. That was basically my childhood, really. So yeah, I just always have my crepes with Nutella. It's just so good. And I also made quiche Lorraine, which is a classic and absolutely gorgeous. I'll make the crust myself, I think, next time, because the crust was actually bought. I just store-bought crust I used, and it was very good. The filling was excellent, but the crust I think could be improved on. And I think I'm going to add a little bit of cheese to the crust as well. I always find crust to be so, apart from Napolitan style pizzas, just like a thick crust, but I always find crust to be the least appealing thing about any dish, about any quiche-like dish. Even pies as well. So I'm going to try and make my own and see if that improves the dish overall. But yeah, doing a lot of cooking, and it's been wonderful. Some baking as well, and it's been absolutely wonderful. I'm so happy to be able to make my own dishes, honestly, and I can absolutely tell you that all of these dishes were huge hits with me and my boyfriend, and I'm just so happy to be able to make those. Actually, it's just so, it's a meditative moment for me, just like running. Actually, just cooking and baking is just a huge meditative moment for me, and I enjoy the result, but I also enjoy the execution, which I think is key really to any activity. You do have to enjoy it while you're doing it, not just the end product. So that's going well. I have been watching a lot of things recently, which I wanted to talk about. First of all, DCC, so Dallas Cowboys Cheerleaders on Netflix. I really enjoyed season 1, and season 2 came out this week, and I've just watched it. I've just finished it in about a day or so. I'm a crazy woman. But yeah, I just absolutely love it. It's a documentary about cheerleading and how absolutely intensive these women are, pro athletes, how intense it is, how just can make or break career, how these women are so dedicated. And I love the performances, I love the dancing. I wish there had been more dancing actually shown in the documentary, but I can understand that they want to focus on these women's lives and personal lives. And yeah, but I love the first season, I love the second season as well. Absolutely really great documentary. If cheerleading and dancing interests you at all, you have to watch this. It's so good. I've been rewatching Miss Fisher. I have just actually, I've reached the end of season 1, and I'm about to start season 2. This is one of my absolute favourite 1920s mystery set in Australia, starring Phryne Fisher, who is a character. She's wonderful. She's just this absolutely bubbly, flirty woman who is the epitome of a flapper in the 1920s, and she solves crimes, and she has a very flirty relationship with the inspector as well, Jack. It's just wonderful. I love the characters, I love the secondary characters. It's a cozy show for me, and I'm just really watching it at the moment. It's one of my favourites. I'm watching it at the moment. It's been a huge part of my life. I rewatched all of Hart of Dixie, which is my favourite show ever. Which is about Zoe Hart, who is a surgeon in New York, and circumstances make it so that she has to move to the south. She decides to move to Bluebell, a very small southern town, and she just finds a found family there. And there are tons of references to Gilmore Girls, and that it's a small town. There are tons of festivals and special days and a small tight-knit community. It's a very fun show. It's a very fun show about a bunch of eccentric characters in their 30s, falling in and out of love. It's a comedy, it's a little bit of drama. It's very light. I absolutely love this show so much with all my heart. It's my favourite ever. There's songs, there's dancing. It's a very happy show, and it's a very a show that's full of heart, really. Just absolutely love it, honestly. So Hart of Dixie, I'm just finished my rewatch of that. Actually, I cried at the end, as usual. Season 4 is peak. It's just so beautiful, and it's one of those rare cases when they knew they were going to be cancelled, and they just gave us the 4th season as a treat for the fans. So the 4th season, everything happens, everything that you had been wishing would happen for 3 seasons, finally happens in the 4th season, because I just wanted to go out, you know, in the bank. So, and they managed that. It's a beautiful season, a beautiful show. 3 things which I'm watching at the moment. I just finished this morning Outrageous, which is the Mitford TV show which just came out, which I was obsessed with the Mitfords actually when I was a teen. I read so many books about them. I read the letters, I read Nancy's books, I read Becca's autobiography, I read the biography that inspired the TV show as well. And I haven't rediscovered, I haven't reread all of these books since, but I knew that a TV show was coming out and I wanted to check it. I did. Anna Chancellor actually stars in this. It's a very starred, it's full of stars, just this cast really, but Anna Chancellor is she's one of my favourites actually, and she stars in this as the mother to the Mitford sisters, and she is wonderful, and I loved this first season. It's very I think it's why make it right now? I think there is some resonance actually in what happened in the 1930s and what's happening right now in the world, I think, which makes it very depressing to watch at times, and anxiety inducing, I suppose. But if you don't know, the Mitfords were they were an aristocratic family, and they were really in the highest circles, and they were related to Churchill, for example, and they were just related to all of the aristocratic families of the time. But they kind of splashed really the newspapers at the time because everyone in the family was just so extreme, and most of the sisters embraced 1930s and its extremes to the max. And yeah, and it's a very good show. I'm dying for a second season. I really hope it gets picked up. I haven't read any of the reviews. This is just my own opinion, honestly. I don't know how the show was received, but I thought it was just really high production and very true to what I've read about the Mitfords, definitely, and very good cast, very good choices. Again, Anna Chancellor stars in this. She's not the star of the show, but she's beautiful. And Bessie Carter, who played I think Prudence in Bridgerton, and who is the daughter of Imelda Staunton, stars in this as well as Nancy, and she's very good. I think the entire cast is really good. And yeah, so absolutely wonderful. I just ended my I reached the end of watching the Outrageous. I finished it this morning. So absolutely wonderful, highly recommend. I watched the first episode of season 2 of the Buccaneers this morning. I read Edith Wharton's novel again as a teen, and I haven't revisited it since, but it's a very good book. It didn't have a proper ending actually written by Edith Wharton, so it was finished by somebody else, but it's a very good book. I loved it at the time, and I also love the adaptation starring Mia Sorvino. I loved it as a teen again, and I'm ambivalent really about the TV show. It's a modernized version, I suppose. Well, it takes place again in the 19th century, but there's modern music, for example. The costumes are definitely not 19th century, so if you're a stickler for historical accuracy, do not watch this show. It's really, I think, at its heart about female friendship. I find it depressing because nobody actually ends up in a happy relationship, and they added so much more drama than what is in the book. It barely resembles the book apart from the name at this point. I enjoy it for what it is. It's not a favourite, but I'm happy I'm watching it, I suppose. And the Gilded Age, as I said before, the Gilded Age season 3 is coming out next week. I am rewatching the show as we speak. I finished rewatching season 1, and I'm about to start season 2, and I'm just dying to see season 3. One of my favourite couples, actually, one of my favourite two characters get together, have a kiss, I suppose, at the end of season 2. So I'm dying to see their relationship in season 3. I do hope they have a happy ending, and I hope it gets picked up for more seasons as per usual. Moving on to books. So I am in the middle of a few series at the moment. The first is Maisie Dobbs. It takes place, it's a historical mystery series starring a lady detective called Maisie. It takes place in the 1930s after the First World War and before the Second World War, and it takes place mostly, well, it takes place in England actually, but it's really very much about the ramification of the First World War, and everyone has scars from the war, everyone knows somebody, they were all involved in the war, and everyone knows somebody who died in the war. And Maisie has to pick up the pieces, so to speak. She was a nurse during the war, but she has to very much pick up the pieces of what happens after. So there's a mystery book, and it's very much in this context. It's a very atmospheric series. It really throws you into the 1930s in a very different way than Outrageous or the Mitford Sisters. So it's not about extremes at all. It's very much about everyday life. And what's particular about it is that, besides the atmosphere, which I think is rendered really, really well, is that Maisie has a very specific psychological way of dealing with mysteries and life and her investigations, in that she wants to make sure that everybody involved in the mystery that she's solving is happy and content by the end of it. So her goal is to find the culprit, and her goal is to solve problems, to solve puzzles, but her goal is also to make everybody better. And she has an uncanny ability actually to feel to feel room, I suppose, and to really read people really, really well. There's a very interesting psychological aspect to those books, which I find fascinating. I read a couple of them years ago, but I just wanted to read more of them, so I just started back from the beginning, from book 1. I'm just making my way through it. I am currently also in the middle of the Emma Lyon series, Regency, very witchy. It's a series of diaries, so each book is novella length, and it's a diary, really, section of Regency of Emma Lyon, who is a woman in her 20s who comes back to London, and she lost a loved one actually recently, and she comes back to London to her inheritance, except that her inheritance has been dilapidated by her good-for-nothing brother, and she has to make her own way. So she decides to rent one of the rooms in the house, and to a very mysterious tenant from America, and things unfold from here. There is a lot of things going on actually in each book, and it's very uplifting, witchy, profound at times, also, because it deals with loss also, but also with romance and friendship, and very trivial things, and very eccentric traditions in St Crispian's, which is the tiny area where they're from in London, and just absolutely marvellous books. Honestly, so entertaining, so witty, and it's incredible actually the author is able to pack so much in novella length books, but I'm really, really enjoying that. I'm currently reading also, one at a time, the Poirot books in chronological order of publication. I have reached Peril at N House. That's the next book on my list, and I'm really enjoying that. Honestly, there's always something to enjoy about the Poirot books. Agatha Christie is just so cozy. She has very eccentric characters which you can't help but love. I'm really enjoying actually her books, even though sometimes the mystery is not the strongest, and but you can always again find something to really love about each book. It could be like the banter and the wit of her books, the banter between Hastings and Poirot, which is always top notch. The secondary characters, the female characters, the description of the English countryside. She has really funny, witchy sentences sometimes which really hit home, which I find absolutely incredibly funny. She has a really good brand of cozy and puzzle, which I really, really, really adhere to. She's wonderful, I think, honestly. So I'm just so happy to have a Poirot like always on the go, and I'm going to again rewatch the entire Poirot series after this, obviously, which I'm always doing anyway. So I always have a Poirot episode going on in the house, which is a bit mad, but that's what it is. I'm currently also rereading Lisa Kleypas and Tessa Dare, who are two of my absolute favourite historical romance writers. They might be actually my two favourite historical romance writers. They write in Regency. They've stopped writing since COVID. They haven't put out a book since COVID, but they are a huge name in the historical romance genre. And I just discovered them, I think, in about 2018 or 17 or something. So I had 2 strong years of just binging all of her books, all of their books, and then they stopped writing. I don't know if they're going to write anymore, but I'm currently rereading all of their books. So Tessa Dare, I've read all of the Spindle Cove books recently. I've reread all of them. They are gorgeous, and about a group of women who live in a seaside town that's mostly for spinsters and for women who want to escape men. Only a regiment of men is coming, so things happen. Next up is the Castles Ever After series by Tessa Dare, which I'm going to start soon. And I have reread all of the Wallflower books by Lisa Kleypas, which were absolutely outstanding. I love her writing. I think Lisa Kleypas, Tessa Dare, I read because she has an effortless style of writing and she's incredibly funny. Her meet-cues are always wonderful. Her wit is just on point. There is no drama in her books. It's just pure fluff. But I love Lisa Kleypas also because she has a different style of writing, but I always learn something about the Regency when reading her books, and I always absolutely think that her writing is just the epitome to me of historical romance in the Regency. Honestly, she's just the perfect writer. She doesn't miss. Honestly, there is not one of her books that I thought was just below standards. It's always, I might love some of them more than others, but she's always so consistent, and she always produces very good books. And again, I just always learn something new about the Regency in her books because she's just so accurate in her research, and she incorporates her research so well in her books. I have finished all of the Wallflower books recently, which was such a treat. And I'm currently reading the Hathaways. I read the first book, and the next one on my list is Seduce Me at Sunrise, which is right here. It's about Winnie, Fred and Mary Penn, and I just absolutely really just two of my favourite authors. I'm just so happy to be rereading them. Okay, what I wanted to do mainly in this video after 40 minutes, nearly 40 minutes actually, is to check in, is to do like a goals check-in. So I had a list of goals at the beginning of the year, at the end of last year for 2025, and I just wanted to check in with you to see where I'm at the moment in terms of actually reaching those goals. So I just printed my list right here. This is a list that I made at the end of 2024, and I wanted to focus on particular writers and a project, a genre project I suppose, and specialist subjects. So let's see how I did. Have done so far, which is like my mid-year check-in if you wish. So Agatha Christie, definitely. Agatha Christie was one of the writers that I wanted to focus on this year, and I am currently rereading all of the Poirot books, and I bought, as I said before, I bought all of the omnibus editions, so I've got all of the Poirot novels on my shelves right now, so I'm on track on this one. Peachy Woodhouse, I've been buying again all of the omnibus Jeeves omnibus editions, and I've got the first 2 on my shelves. I need to buy the next 3, and I reread just 1 novel this year by Peachy Woodhouse, Thank You Jeeves. So I've started that project, but I need to read more, definitely. Charles Dickens, God, Dickens is such, has been such an interesting subject for me this year actually. I went to visit the Dickens Museum in London last year at Christmas time, and I knew that I really wanted to dive deep into Dickens. Again, the 19th century is my favourite century. It's my favourite area of history to read about, era of history to read about and to watch the costume dramas in. So I really wanted to dive deep into Charles Dickens. I read A Christmas Carol last year. Bleak House, the costume drama, actually the miniseries adaptation, the BBC adaptation, is one of my favourite things ever. I watch it at least twice a year. So I read Bleak House, I listened, I should say, to the audiobook read by Timothy West, and it was absolutely wonderful. I listened to the audiobook Great Expectations, and it was a trial. And I have started, but I had to DNF for now, the audiobook of Our Mutual Friend. And I've started also the book of a mutual friend, and I had to DNF that as well. So I don't know if Dickens is for me right now. I loved Bleak House, but nothing else has worked for me so far. So I don't know what I'm going to do about Dickens this year, but I really would like to definitely give him a proper go. In one form or another. I just really wanted to read him and to read more of him. It's definitely happening this year. I just don't know how, in what format. Anthony Trollope. I haven't read anything by Trollope this year. I watched Dr. Thorne last year, the prime adaptation of Dr. Thorne last year, which was absolutely wonderful. I also watched The Way We Live Now, which was so interesting. I think I hated every character in that adaptation, but it definitely made me want to read the book. I think I read the book ages ago when I was a teen, but I can't remember any of it. Well, I remember the story now that I watched the adaptation, but I definitely want to read more by Trollope. So I've got The Warden on my Kindle, which is free from Gutenberg. I need to, I just need to read him one way or another. I don't know how again, but I need to read him. I want to read him. Georgia Hare. I reread all of the Hare which I've got at home. There are about four of them I've got in physical forms. I reread all of that. My favorite is still Cotillion. It's just so witty, so good, so perfect, so frothy, exactly what I want in a book. But the rest was really good as well, so I really want to read more Georgia Hare, and I'm going to definitely buy her in physical form because I love the covers by Source Books and by Arrow. Actually, both of the covers are really good, featuring just historical paintings, which I think just really fit his Georgia Hare style. Jane Austen, I read 5 of her books this year. We read 5 of her books this year, all of them apart from Mansfield Park. So I still need to read Mansfield Park for the end of the year. I've been postponing it because Mansfield Park is my least favourite of her books. So I've been postponing that, but I need to read it actually because I need to also read her letters and her juvenilia. It will be a reread. I've read all of Jane Austen numerous times, but it will be reread. But I haven't reread Mansfield Park, so I can't move on to her other things, which breaks my heart. So because her juvenilia and her letters are really good. Noel Streatfeild. I haven't reread any Noel Streatfeild this year, and I haven't read any new Noel Streatfeild this year. I need to do that. Definitely. Sherlock Holmes, haven't done any progress on that at all. I need to. Terry Pratchett, I haven't done any progress on that at all. I need to. Patrick O'Brien, same. Miss Reed, same. Lucy Montgomery, I have reread The Blue Castle recently, which was a treat. I love Lindsay. She's one of my favourite characters actually, and I just really want to read more of her books, which I haven't read yet. I haven't read the Emily books. I tried a DNF'd a few years ago. I need to start again and try again. So the Emily books, I need to read Magic for Marigold, the Pat books. Can't remember what else she's written, but I've got the Anne books and I've read The Blue Castle, and that's about it. So I need to get a move on the rest. Mary Stuart, haven't read anything by her this year. I need to do that as well. And in terms of specialist subjects, I wanted to dive deep into a few things. Harry Potter, so you know, I have mentioned that to my channel many times, so I won't be repeating that in every video, but I have been listening to a Harry Potter audiobook every day of my life since they came out, read by Stephen Fry, and it has been the soundtrack to my life ever since the audiobooks came out on Audible. So has been a huge part of my life since 1999, and has been a part of my everyday life, has been part of my everyday for years and years. I'm just so happy. I really want to have a hankering actually to rewatch all of the films very soon, so I need to do that. I need to wait for my boyfriend to come back. He's on holiday right now visiting his mother, and as soon as he comes back I'm going to ask him if he wants to rewatch all of the Harry Potter movies with me. Fantasy of Manners, I've made a video about that, so this is a check for me. Disney Princess Project, I did not actually watch any Disney Princess movie. I haven't watched any Disney Princess movie in months, I think, but I need to get back to it because it's one of my favourite things ever, definitely. Hallmark films, I dropped the ball on that, and so many films have come out this year which I haven't watched, so I have no really expectation of catching up on Hallmark this year. But I would like still to just try and find some of the very good films which came out this year and watch them. and screwball comedies. I have watched a few, and I would like to, of course, just go through my list of screwball comedies, which is kind of my one comfort watch apart from Disney, really. So Hallmark, Disney and screwball comedies are definitely movies which I would watch again and again and again and never get tired of. So yes, they're going to be part of my life this year, definitely, because they are comfort to me. Okay, so I think that's the end of this massive video. Thank you so much for watching, if you've watched so far. I'm just going to try and cool down now and enjoy my crepes and my puttanesca tonight. And yeah, so I hope you're having a fantastic month of June, and I will see you soon.